and we test the tractors, we put new stuff in it. And these tractors on the side, don't show them, but that are prototypes. We call them mules. Maybe they look like normal tractors, but inside could be some fancy stuff which could come in the future. Whatever it is, I have no clue. The higher the ladder is, the more sophisticated tractor is. So the M does have way more technology inside, and the biggest step is the 6R, for instance. The R stands for royalty. It's a premium tractor, and you can have all what your heart desires. Room here, we have our apprenticeship workshop here. So about 3.5 years we have time to develop the skills of the young people, to make sure that we have the best quality we can get right at the beginning. If they go into the factory, they do exactly know what to do and how the job has to be done. That is very important for John Deere. John Deere stands for quality, and that always starts with a good education. So these 3.5 years ensure that we can provide to our customers. That's one point. Another is that we have about 120 to 130 apprentices or students in the factory over these 3.5 years. So every year we have 30-35 young guys coming to the factory and learn the job. As I told you, we have about 3,600, 3,650 employees. We produce right now 200 tractors each day, and if we have all the material coming into the factory to build tractors, I think this year we could produce 40,000, 41,000 tractors. Last year it was about 35,500. The year before that was 20,850. So although we have to fight COVID-19, right now it's a good time for us because the number is not going down, which feels good.
Yeah.
So, and in front of us, that is our old stable. So we had horses a couple of years, many years ago, and the traffic or the material transportation was done by horses. So maybe 100 years ago, something like that. And then we have decided to put our old tractors in that nice building. So horses were very important a couple 100 years ago, and that one is a sewing machine. And you could put a horse in front of it, and you could have all the settings, and what you would do normally on a tractor with its computer system is done mechanically. So how many seeds have to drop at a specific place is done all here in the mechanical way, so that you can adjust its levers what has to be done. On the left side, this nice guy here is to use in order to bring potatoes out of the ground.
Yeah.
So it is towed by a horse or by a tractor, and it's propelled by these tires here. So if they go and cut into the ground, they propel the transmission here, and with that you have these nice, what is it called, thing which will grab out the potatoes. So before we decided to go for a full frame design, we used a block design. So we have a structure consisting of a front part with front axle. It was bolted to the engine and the oil pan, and then it was bolted to the next step, that is a transmission. The good thing is that the tractor is very versatile and maneuverable. The bad thing is if you have a lot of front weight and high weight in the back, it could break. So you could have very bad damage on this point, and the tractor breaks in two halves. that was the reason why we decided to protect all the components and we go for a full frame design. And that was done in the 1990s. As you can see here, we have two very important parts. It's a frame on the left side, the frame on the right side. It's connected with bolts to each other. The engine and the oil pan is lying in the frame. They do not the job to hold the tractor in pieces. They just deliver the power. And the transmission lies here in the frame as well. It's very easy to maintain and repair because you can pull it out very easily. So if you would use a front loader, the brackets are mounted directly to the frame and all the stress is not going to the engine and to the transmission. It's done by the frame. But first things first, that one here is called a Lanz Bulldog. So you see this part here in front of the machine, you have to heat it up, and with that you can start after a while. I think it takes about half an hour. You can start with this bulb here. Then if you turn these huge flywheels, you can crank up the engine. Before we started to produce tractors, we had locomobiles here, so steam engines, but they are not very easy to handle, so that was the reason why we decided to build tractors. So we started building and producing tractors 100 years ago. In 1921 we designed the first tractor ever coming out of this factory, and that was called the Lanz Bulldog. The design of the tractor with his flywheels could be the ears and these nose here, it looks like this dog called Bulldog, and that's why he received that name. It is as simple as possible. We have one cylinder, nothing more. The designer you can find here in the hubs is called Dr. Fritz Huber Lanz, and with that, in his opinion, the tractor couldn't be simple enough, because the more or the less parts you have in the tractor, the less could go wrong. When we had the Second World War, we had to figure out a solution to drive with the tractors without having fossil fuels, like crude oil, like diesel, like whatever. This tractor can consume everything which you can make fluid. Even butter would work to run these tractors. You can use everything which is flammable and which you can burn. But when the Second World War started, we had to figure out another system. And with that thing here, you could use wood, burn wood or coal. And I don't know the English word, but with the gas coming out of it, you could run the tractor as well. So this guy here is a tractor which you cannot drive, but you can tow it with your horse to the barn, and you can use the flywheel to propel implements like this one here. That is a combine harvester or harvester, a threshing machine, and you could get out of it grains, small grains. And to run it, you need external power, and that's delivered by that machine. And you see different kind of tires. So this is hard rubber, and that was used earlier. But after that, there was an invention called air tires, and with that you have more comfort and all that, and more pulling power. And this here is called an iDog. It's able to go not that fast like a car, but it's very close to something like a combination out of truck and car. It's a Lanz Bulldog. So when John Deere took over in 1998, in 1956, they bought Lanz with that location here, that is Mannheim, with a location in Zweibrücken. In Zweibrücken we produce right now combine harvester, self-propelled forage harvester up to 1,000 horsepower, and a location called Retafe in Spain, very close to Madrid. In Madrid we produce tractors as well. You can differentiate these Lanz Bulldogs because they have yellow rims. It's not because of John Deere, but the Spanish tractors have yellow rims. I like that machine. If I would crank up the engine, I think it's the loudest machine I've ever heard in my life. I think the Frankfurt guys would call and ask me what is the noise coming from. It's coming from that monster. Although it's very small, but that is very fun. So the special thing here is, like our competitor Fendt produced a Geräteträger, Lanz produced an Aldog. It's very similar. You can remove it, you can see everything in the front, you can mount on different places implements. Yeah, that's very nice to work with. Okay. So this is a very funny guy. You see this typical steering that is a US machine. It's very maneuverable, like a tank. But unfortunately, if you operate it in the wrong way, you could fall in one or the other direction, and that costs a lot of farmers their life. So the machine was called Widowmaker. And in the 1960s, we invented the first roll-over protective structure, Rob's coat. And with that, farming was more safe than ever before. John Deere for European recovery supplied by the United States of America. So this machine was brought after the World War II to Europe, and it helped rebuild and reshape Europe. So that was one very important tractor with a lot of horsepower. To crank up the big diesel engine inside of the tractor, we have a pony engine outside. It's a gas engine, and you have first of all to start that engine, which is very easy, and then you can bring up the big diesel to life. You know the farming simulator, and the farming simulator is digital, so you have the CAD data and you can watch into the tractor. And we do the same with our simulators on this campus as well, but we have way more data. If we would cut through the machine with the CAD, we can see everything. So 40 years ago, it was not possible. What we did, we cut through the tractor and opened all the details to have a look into the heart of the tractor. So you can see everything. You have the cut through the engine, through the transmission. You can see the rod which is going to the back to the machine and drive the PTO shaft, so that you can have the torque from the tractor to the implement. And that's very nice to see what it is. In the back, the combine or the threshing machines. It's very funny if you have a very modern type of combine made by John Deere, made by Claas, made by whomever. They know the stuff to produce them. But if you would cut through that machine, you wouldn't see that much difference. So machine using these, there are rotors on the one hand, and there are schüttlers, walkers on the other side. So that's the two main differences you can have with a combine. That is a threshing system with a walker system. It's not that different to a very modern combine. The technology inside, how it works, is very familiar or very similar. So I think that's the right word. But that machine we used a couple of weeks ago, and it was scanned by the guys of Farming Simulator. That one is just included in the game, and it's the very same machine. I'm very proud because it's still running and is doing a great job. So just talking about the Farming Simulator 20, when was John Deere included?
19.
Yep.
19 and 22 we received the 7810 and the 4755. And I had these two machines here And I was very happy that the farming simulator came, scanned that machine, and I asked him, please, I need that sound on the 4755 in that game.
Yeah.
So we picked up 2 tractors out of the factory, which we use to hold machines which are not done yet out of the line. So we call them AAA tractors, or in Germany ADAC Traktoren. And we use them to have a load in the back of the 4755. And then we shifted all the gears from higher gears to the lower gears so that we have the engine noise. And in my opinion, I have always goosebumps only thinking about the engine sound of a John Deere 6.7 liter engine. It's brilliant. So I was just talking about the change from block construction or structural construction. So you have the engine connected to the transmission, connected to the rear differential. This change to the full frame was done exactly with that tractor. That is the last tractor we ever made in block construction. So, and that is the 2850. It's the most sold options we have here. It's not the best cab. The nicer cab is the SG2 cab, but that was the most sold option. I'm very proud that we have that machine here. It's brand new, if you will, and it does have about 25 hours on its clock. Sometimes I use it to drive to the factory, so it's still running. Yeah. So to give you a nice impression how an old engine is sounds, let me run this machine here.
I need one of those.